I'm gonna go to my co-host here first, and
Thank you. There was just a couple of observations I wanted to make. I've been sitting listening for a while because obviously this is a female space. I've had the privilege of spending quite a lot of time at university. I've got a bachelor's in chemistry, a master's in forensic science and instrumental chemistry, and a PhD in nuclear chemistry and robotics. And if I learned anything in my 9 years in academia, is you come out of there and you've spent 9 years learning a massive amount about a very narrow field and fuck all about the rest of the world. So please, I hear you. People that have got PhDs and are very specialized, they might know an enormous amount about a very small field of human knowledge. It doesn't mean that they're better than anyone else. Absolutely not. And that's probably new information to lots of people because I don't really talk about my academic background.
I think Nay was next, and then Amanda.
So I was actually going to come and answer a point Amanda made about sort of the middle classes and things like that. There's something that unless you're actually in that circle, you might not pick up on, and it's sort of society in the way that they don't want to discuss things. So if you're middle class and you come from a middle class or upper class background, most people don't understand poverty. They don't understand the system. They don't get what it's really like. If you speak, if I my show jumping buddies would absolutely turn around and call everyone that was on the dole grifters, all the rest of it. They would be just like anyone with an alcohol or drug problem. It's just, oh, they're just junkies. They're alcoholics. They're just wastes of space. You can imagine. You can imagine what was said. And I would always turn around and say, yeah, but what made them an alcoholic? What made them a drug addict? Did they come from a broken home? Did they come from a family of alcoholics? Did they come from a family of people that didn't work? Who was the role model? You know, I've always said that I've had a fabulous life. I have no idea what it's like to go out, not have a meal. Like I've never felt hungry in my life, if you know what I mean, unless I put myself on a diet, in which case I'm a nightmare. But you know what I mean. I've never come to a home that's been cold in the winter or damp or any of those things. But the thing about middle class is they may not want to speak about it because they don't want to be reminded of just how privileged they are. And it's very difficult to sit and listen to someone who's had a shittier life. So there's lots of things, but the one thing that maybe you don't notice um, in those circles is the fact that some people actually can't cope with hearing the truth. It's unpalatable to them and they just can't deal with it. You can tell me anything and I can listen. But lots of people in my circle of friends actually cannot even cope with, like, I like Amanda. I like the way that Amanda deals. I like Belfast and stuff like that. But if Amanda was to tell some of my friends about some of the stuff she's gone through, they would cut the conversation off and they'd never actually want to speak to Amanda again because they couldn't deal with the truth. And I think that's something you do have to consider. It's actually not a snobbishness. You just have to understand that some people just can't deal with the reality that is the world and the reality that there is such a divide between rich and poor.
As I said, a lot of people that are posh and are, it's the same as like, oh, men can wear dresses if they want, right? Yeah, they can, but we know that no men want to wear dresses. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of a bit weird. I just think it's very sad because these are the sort of women that we would go to, or men, whatever it is, and ask, whether it's therapist or whatever it is, and ask, and we're not getting the truth. We're getting a bunch of indoctrinated fucking zombies. Like, it's really bad. I did have my hand up and I have written something down, right? So I just want to make one thing clear, right? I've got to choose my battles because I'm not anonymous. I have been accused of being disloyal because um that I don't get involved in certain fights, right? I've been accused of being disloyal, and I've been accused of being cozying up with people when I've not. No, and I'm just making this general, right? So, like, see me as a general person and what I'm going through, right? And all I'm saying is, like, if I'm not jumping into every fight, please don't class me as disloyal, right? And if I speak to someone or agree with someone or ask a question, please don't fucking say that I'm cozying up to people, right? But let me tell you one thing, right? If you are an anonymous person who's accusing me of shit like this, right? Just remember that I put my kids at risk enough just by speaking up about being in fucking prison, right? They're in school. I open them up to fucking bullying or being seen as different because their mum's a TERF. Everybody was so excited, like, oh, you got front page and then a whole centre spread in this big fancy paper or whatever. I can't remember what it was called. And I'm like, that's great for the cause because it's not about me, but it still affects my fucking kids because now all the kids in my kids' school know that, oh, your mum was an ex-con. And when they read about it, they read lies and they read that I'm so aggressive and I'm this and that, right? So, see, at the end of the day, just know that if you want to be fighting all day, every day on Twitter, right? I'm not going to fucking get involved in every single thing. I've got enough shit going on, right? And just because I'm not fucking coming in to fight your battle does not mean that I don't support you, right? It just means that I don't need any more fucking shit that I'm getting. I don't need any more threatening to my family or my fucking children or whatever. These feminists have contacted, I was asked to go on Piers Morgan, they've contacted, was it WDI, whatever. Anybody I've done a podcast with, they contact them, tell them that they're thingying up a violent criminal and all this fucking shit, right? And I just want to say, I choose my fucking fights, right? I'm not disloyal and I don't cozy up to people, and MD knows me, knows that. So I just want to make that very fucking clear that my kids come first and they're going through enough shit just now. With me speaking about women in prison, never mind the stuff they're going through in the background, which people may or may not know. And so if you're going to fucking start a fight, be prepared to finish it. Because see, when I say something, I never ask anybody to come and back me up. I never start DMing people. I don't do that fucking shit. And you'll also notice that when it gets to the stage where I do a space and I speak about it vocally, because I can't be fucked DMing, and then people call you snidey, plus I'm lazy. Nobody ever wants to speak or take a mic. So take fucking, remembrance and think about that. Any time that I come to speak when I'm pissed off enough, nobody has anything to say.
Well said.
Thank you, Belfast, for letting me get up. I didn't mean it to be a rant, but it was. Sorry.
Okay. It's okay. I think you said what you needed to say there. And I think it's important. And I would just add to it and say that, if I have a problem with someone and I maybe go on a rant one night, I don't expect a whole lot of DMs. I don't expect, um, a whole lot of sharing of DMs. I don't expect it to be shared with every group and to involve every fucker that could possibly be involved. I expect that person to come to me and say, "You should have spoken to me." So I'm happy enough to speak to the person who who I have an issue with and who has an issue with me. I'm not going to talk about it on these spaces. I'm happy enough to speak to her about it if she wishes to discuss it. I've told her that I don't want every fucking shit show involved, everybody who wants to have a fucking beef
Maybe
involved.
we're talking about the same person, and I've done the
Yeah.
same, sent multiple messages, sent multiple DMs,
Yep.
whatever.
Right. Well,
Then
maybe
I
I
just
don't
thought,
know.
then I went into her space and she removed me, and I just thought, right, fuck it then. So I blocked her. Now she's all going about Twitter like, somebody's blocked me,
Right.
and I
I
don't know
don't know.
why.
I
I'll
don't know who
DM
you.
you. I'll
Right.
DM you.
Okay. DM me. Look, I don't know who
No,
you're
I'm
speaking
not
about.
saying I'll DM you. I'm saying this is what this woman's saying. Like, I've just been
Yeah.
blocked.
No, I'm
I'll
having none of this.
DM you. Like,
Right.
fuck off.
I'm happy enough. Happy enough to have a conversation with any woman who has an issue with anything I've said. And I thought I was bringing it on myself. I didn't realize it was going to turn into a whole fucking public fucking gallery thing, because I had something to say, and I'm happy enough to stand by it.
But sometimes the public gallery thing backfires on them, like it did with Lady Laments and Domestic Tea. Do you know what I mean? Like, so sometimes you can only be so sneaky behind the scenes before people actually start calling you out and saying, right, let me speak to you then.
It kind of moved on again, the conversation. I think what Amanda and Belfast were mentioning, I had a pot shot at that person as well the other night and a few others. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on in GC spaces, and there's definitely a divide just now. And it would be nice if it could be sorted out privately, but for some strange reason, someone wants a public spectacle. I kind of have chosen for weeks now to ignore this individual and the squad behind them because I can't be bothered with them, and I'm really not a fan of bullies. I absolutely, if you're gonna really annoy me, it's bully someone. You know, we can all have a little spat now and again, but when you start to bully people, I really don't like it because you don't actually know that person. You're looking at their Twitter. You're looking at what the image is presented to you on Twitter. Now I happen to speak to a few people here, so I'm privileged in that I know a bit more about them than others, and I think the problem is people just kind of treat you as a face on Twitter and they can say what they want and that it doesn't have an impact. And I think that's the problem. It seems to be that if you don't toe the line with certain individuals, then they're allowed to be vitriolic towards you, bully you, harass you, say all sorts of things on Twitter that are lies about you. I don't agree with it. I'll never be part of it. Um, and yes, I've been the target of it, but I'm a bit like, fuck off, don't care, go away. I couldn't give a shit what your opinion of me is because you don't
Yeah,
matter.
I know, but just remember as well, it's very important that you're anonymous as well. I know you don't give a shit, but we do still need to remember there is a difference, and
Yeah,
I
but
do understand
I think
why
Amanda.
people need to be anonymous.
Yeah, but
Hang
I
on.
think the one thing I know you bang on about being anonymous and stuff like that, but there's lots of reasons people are anonymous on here. Mainly, it comes down to their job,
I wouldn't.
Amanda.
I wouldn't say. Can I just say one thing though? I wouldn't say I
No,
bang on.
let's let Nate finish and then you can
Yeah,
speak,
I think
please.
the one thing you have to consider about being anonymous, Amanda, lots of people, you're also in quite a privileged position in some respects, in that you have a family and you're lucky in that your husband's very supportive of you and the stuff that you do. Lots of people in here are actually have to be self-sufficient, and if they were targeted and weren't anonymous, that could lose them their jobs. So it's not about being anonymous just to behave, in a manner that, however you want to put it, in an inappropriate manner. Some of it's actually a protective mechanism because of their jobs. Because they actually put their livelihoods at risk. And who's going to pay their mortgage? Who's going to pay, for cat food and dog food or for their kids and put food on the table? And yeah, there are other people who are anonymous just to cause trouble. You know, I'm anonymous, but you don't actually see me really. The only time you've probably seen me have a go at someone is the SSPCA about the sheep. That's it. I mean, the other day I had to say something because I actually just couldn't stand what someone was doing to an individual. I literally couldn't stand it, and I wasn't going to sit quietly. I don't know this individual personally. Even the individual they were targeting, I don't know them, but I actually just can't stand watching it. It's not something
Yeah,
I enjoy.
yeah, absolutely. And I would agree with you. Um, particularly when it comes to bullying others. Amanda, please go ahead.